I remember the sound of the pen scratching across paper as he signed the divorce papers. No hesitation, no tremor in his hand, just silence. And my mother-in-law's smile at the corner of the room. She looked at me as though I were already a corpse. "Some women are too fragile," she said softly, almost kindly. And then she turned to my sister and added, "But you're strong. Better, better." That word dug deeper than the divorce itself. My own blood standing behind her, eyes lowered but lips trembling in victory. We hadn't always been enemies. When I first met him, my husband, he was gentle, curious, and reckless in the way young men in love can be. We whispered promises under blankets, built dreams in small apartments, believed in forever. Back then, my sister cheered for us. Or so I thought. Back then, his mother embraced me, called me daughter. But I should have known. Her affection had conditions, and my quiet loyalty was never enough. She wanted a wife who could sharpen her son's ambition like a blade, not a woman who stitched wounds and held him steady. I noticed the change in whispers first. The phone turned face down. The late returns home. The faint perfume that was not mine. Then came the nights when he'd slip into bed cold and rigid, as though my touch carried guilt. But the truth revealed itself not in words, but in absence. He stopped calling me love. He stopped looking me in the eyes. And when I found the message, my sister's name glowing on his phone, the words, "She doesn't deserve you. We both know it," my heart did not break. It hardened. That night, I said nothing. I cooked dinner. I laughed at his half-hearted jokes. I kissed his cheek. And as I lay awake beside him, staring into the dark, I made a vow. If they wanted a war, I would not fight it with screams. I would fight with silence, patience, and precision. They thought the divorce destroyed me. In truth, it freed me. I sold the house he once promised we'd grow old in. I liquidated every joint asset he had overlooked in his eagerness to leave. His mother, sharp-eyed as she was, had not anticipated my legal foresight. I left with more than they imagined. Enough to build again. Enough to rise higher. For years I worked, tireless, quiet. While they paraded their union, while my mother-in-law praised their perfect match, I built something they could never touch, my empire. And along the way, I met him, a man whose presence could silence a room, whose name alone carried weight. He was not gentle, he was not reckless. He was deliberate, powerful, and merciless with those who betrayed him. Where I was fire, he was steel. Together, we became untouchable. The invitation to my party was not an accident. It was bait. The ballroom gleamed that night. Crystal chandeliers, champagne flowing like rivers, music threading through the air like silk. The city's finest stood beneath my roof, each one knowing I was no longer the abandoned wife they'd pitied, but the woman they feared to cross. I saw them enter before they saw me. My ex-husband, my sister, his mother, smiling, preened like royalty. But when their eyes landed on the man at my side, the smile died. Their faces drained of color, because standing beside me was the one man they had once desperately tried to impress and failed. A man who had dismissed them, mocked their weakness, and now chose to claim me. My ex's jaw tightened. My sister clutched his arm. His mother, for the first time, looked small. I raised my glass, eyes fixed on theirs. "Welcome," I said smoothly. "It's been years." He tried to speak, but the words tangled in his throat. My sister avoided my gaze, trembling like a guilty child. His mother forced a smile, brittle and false. And then my husband, my true husband, placed his hand over mine. The gesture was subtle, but the message roared through the hall. I was no one's abandoned shadow. I was the queen they had underestimated. Every guest turned to witness it. The whispers spread like wildfire. Their humiliation was public, irreversible. They didn't stay long. Cowards never do. I watched them leave, my heart steady, not racing. For years I had carried the image of their betrayal like a stone in my chest. Tonight, I let it drop. Revenge didn't need blood or screams. It needed power. It needed patience. And I had both. As the doors closed behind them, my husband leaned close, his voice low, meant only for me. Was it enough? I smiled, finally free. More than enough. They took my love. They tried to take my dignity. But I rebuilt myself into something untouchable. And when they thought they had won, I reminded them. Fragile women don't break.